Least common multiple is something that you would have learned in fourth and fifth grade again, maybe even third, when you were adding fractions and subtracting fractions that had different denominators. And you had to find a common denominator. And in order to do this, you found the least common multiple of those two fractions. So in sixth grade math, we use least common multiple for problem solving mostly. So what we're going to do is we're going to use, first of all, least common multiple is the first multiple that two or more numbers have in common. And there's two ways to find this. The first way is to make a list of the multiples. And the second way is to use the slide method. We've been using the slide method for a while, so this might be more of a practice for you, and you might want to be using that more than the list. There are pluses and minuses to both. So let's go ahead and do the first way, the list of 9 and 15. So if first thing I'm going to do is make my list of multiples of 9. So this is where our multiplication tables would come into play. So if I make a list of 9, I have 9 as my first multiple, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, and I could keep going on forever because I'm doing the multiples. So I need to go out maybe 4, 5, 6 numbers at a time to see if when two numbers have the same multiple. So if I'm going by 15s, I have 15 as my first multiple, 30, 45, 60. Now I know I can stop because I have 45 in both of my lists, and that is my first multiple. Okay, so my least, or sometimes we call it the lowest common multiple. It's the first one that we come across. The problem with making the list is knowing our multiplication facts or being able to skip count correctly. Let's say I accidentally didn't put 36 and I put 35, and then I added another 9, then I'd have 44, and I would be going on for quite some time to figure out a common multiple. The other way is to be using the slide method. So down here is where I'm going to put it. So I'm going to put my 9 and 15. And I know 3 goes into both. 3 times into 9, 5 times into 15. I have both prime numbers, and I'm done. I'm going to use all 3 of these numbers to find my 45. So 3 is my GCF, and then I'm going to go ahead and use that 3 and the 5. So 3 times 3 times 5. And 3 times 3 times 5 is 45. So again, either way is correct. A lot of you might be so used to using this now, we've been doing it a lot in class, that this might be feeling more comfortable to you. And I'm going to use all my outside numbers now to find my least common multiple, where when I use my greatest common factor, I only used my side numbers. Or some of you, making a list of multiples is easier. So whichever way you choose to do it, that's the way I would prefer you to find the least common multiple. All right, so let's go ahead and do the list for 6 and 24 to find what its least common multiple is going to be. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start my list off with my 6's. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. My list of 24s are going to go 24, 48, and then 72. And then I'm going to notice really fast that 24 is my least common multiple. And the reason why 24 is my least common multiple is because 6 can go evenly into 24. So I know that is going to be my least common multiple. So if you know your math facts very well and you can recognize that, good for you. If not, make your list or do the slide method to find out the answer. So again, if I'm going to use the slide method, okay, 6 and 24. Oops, I should put the 6 first. 2 goes into both, 3 and 12 times. 3 goes into 3 and 12, 1 and 4 times. So 2 times 3 times 1 times 4 equal 24. So I would do 2 times 3 times 1 times 4, and that equals 24. So I'm going to get the same answer as I would if I made the list. All right, what about 3 and 4? So again, if I start off with my list, I've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. If I start my fours, I have 4, 8, 12, 20. And I can see right here that 12 is my lowest common multiple, my first common multiple of 3 and 4. And if you notice, 3 and 4 make 12. That is because 3 is prime and 3 does not go evenly into 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. So that would be my first common multiple. Again, if I was using the slide method, I noticed that no prime numbers go into 3 and 4. So if there's nothing that goes in here, nothing goes in, then we would just do 3 times 4. Oops, 3 times 4, and that is 12. So there are my 3 different types of examples. The first one was 12 and 15. The second one was 6 and 24, and the last one was 3 and 4. And all 3 of these are different in terms of how you will get your answer and how they all relate to each other.